I really treated AI as my co-founder for the product. So all the way from the beginning, like even just coming up with a name for the company, that was done with ChatGPT. I was learning that in tandem with ChatGPT. So I would do something on the app, and then I would take screenshots, and I would say, "Hey, I'm building this on FlutterFlow. How can you help me, make this feature?"
With me today, I have Devan Flaming. He's the founder of Source.it, a tool that allows you to harness the power of your team to create content. And we're going to talk about going from ChatGPT ideation, building an MVP on a no-code platform, and launching a SaaS product. Devin, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. I'm excited for the podcast.
Awesome. Now, let's first start with your journey. How did you start this entrepreneurial journey?
For sure. So I started off creating content myself, and that's kind of where the idea started. So I have my own TikTok account, and I was creating content on TikTok just about different things that I enjoyed. So I would create content on fitness things, on different CPG products that I would try, because a while ago I was working in the CPG industry. So it made sense to kind of try out different products and give them ratings, do content like that. So it really started just with my own TikTok account. And then over time, I was creating content on my own TikTok, and I was actually able to land a job creating content for another company. So I created content for another company for about 9 months. And in that role, I had to go into different locations and create content with myself and also with the employees in the locations. And that's kind of what sparked the idea behind Source.it, was this idea that yeah, you could create content and kind of scale that across an entire organization.
And scaling it through your employees and kind of taking it to the next level. Now, when that started, it feels like there was a place where you were kind of doing it and you notice that, okay, this is what I'm doing already, probably is what is needed on a lot of places, because they do have a lot of staff that is maybe creating content while they're at work. We've seen those TikToks where people shoot videos while they're at work, doing something interesting, but that is also brand exposure at the end of the day. What were some of the I was going to say, what are some of the initial obstacles that you had when you were showing it to business owners as a solution?
Yeah, so I think the biggest obstacle right now is just trying to get over the hurdle of employees actually creating content. Because although, like, if you're in the social media space, you see this type of content out on social media, right? Like you see the person in a grocery store or in a retail store creating content and getting a lot of brand exposure. But a lot of companies maybe haven't seen that before. And so it's kind of it's hard to get over that initial hurdle of employees creating content and creating, yeah. So that would be a struggle for sure, is just getting over that initial hurdle of, well, what do you mean? Like we have a content team, we have marketing people. Why would we have our employees create content? And I think the younger generation understands it. I think sometimes it's a little bit more difficult speaking to older generations as well. So I think for me, like being strategic in which businesses I'm chatting with is definitely important as well.
Awesome. Now, let's go from how did this whole thing started? Because we said we're going to go from ideation to building with no-code platforms to actually launching the platform. So how did that start?
Yeah, so I had the idea for like about a year before I started working on it. Um, and it was just an idea that I kind of had in my back pocket, wasn't really working on it. And then unfortunately, one of my big contracts for content creation ended, and I was forced to pivot. So it's kind of that classic story of, something bad happens, but then you're able to make the best of it and hope make something better from that. So yeah, so my contract ended, and then I decided, okay, this is the perfect time now to get into working on this app. Um, yeah, and the idea, it kind of came from a bunch of things. It came from some of my personal experience, came from just viewing content as well, which kind of a bunch of things just kind of came together to create the idea. Yeah.
And in your process while you were coming up and creating the idea, how much
Yeah.
did AI had to play in the early stages?
Yeah, it had a massive play in the early stages. I really treated AI as my co-founder for the product. So all the way from the beginning, like even just coming up with a name for the company, that was done with ChatGPT. So working alongside ChatGPT saying, hey, like this is the business idea that I have. Let's work together. Let's come up with some ideas for it. And yeah, SourceIt was one of the ideas that ChatGPT came up with. And we refined over time. But yeah, my company name, my tagline, all of that was done using ChatGPT.
Now, this is fascinating because it just shows the barrier of entry. It has dramatically changed since 2022 in essence. Now, when you're
For
starting to do
sure.
these things, um,
Yeah.
probably there was a lot of iterations. Like, what did you learn using AI or ChatGPT specifically in this case when you are going through ideation? What are the things that you're like, you should really do this because I was on the wrong path for a long time?
Um, what do you mean? Can you explain that a little more, please?
So, for example, is there a process that you were like, okay, tell me first marketing, tell me then branding, then tell me about how do I go to market strategy? Was there a process you were going, or you were just throwing it ideas and that gave you feedback, and then from that feedback you're piecing the puzzles?
Yeah, it was more so just as I was going along the journey of creating this that I decided to use ChatGPT as a companion for me. So yeah, I wouldn't say there was like a strategy from of like going through the motions like that. It was kind of just whenever I needed something, I would go to ChatGPT for it. That's an interesting point though, like having a strategy where you kind of you go through different steps and then actually that's interesting.
And that's what I wanted to understand. Is it something that you were guided completely by ChatGPT of this is the next step, this is the next step, or you were like going through your life, your journey, and then when you needed something, you just went to ChatGPT and that kind of gave you some ideas, plans, and strategy and stuff like that. It sounds like it was more of the I know what I want to do, then ChatGPT is a companion, gives you the tools and the feedback. Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
how did you go from the idea to starting with the no code platforms? How did that happen? How did you choose the one? What are some of the early stuff that you were noticing?
For sure. Yeah, so initially when I was looking at no code platforms, I was just looking for the easiest one. So the very first version of the app that I built was on a platform called Glide, which is a good no code platform, very simple to use, but the features, what you're able to do with it is
Mhm.
not as good as some of the other platforms. So originally it started on Glide, and this was just doing research on YouTube, on Google, and with ChatGPT, just asking about different no-code platforms, and kind of comparing them. So I remember I got it down to a list of maybe 2 to 3 platforms that I could use, and I just started trying them out. So I would try to start building the app on the platform, and see how things went. And the ones that were the easiest were the ones that I gave more of my time to because it was easier for me to learn them. And then eventually, once I realized that some of these platforms didn't have the capabilities I needed, I switched to another platform, which is called FlutterFlow. And it's my favorite platform that I've used so far. And in order to learn that, I was learning that in tandem with ChatGPT. So I would do something on the app, and then I would take screenshots, and I would say, "Hey, I'm building this on FlutterFlow. How can you help me, make this feature?"
So you're even using like images and like whole sections of the code to say, hey, ChatGPT, this is what I'm doing in FlutterFlow. Here's the outcome I want. What am I doing wrong? And it gives you the direction. How clear or how close is it to a final 100% direction? Or is it more like uh, inspirational that you were using, or was like pretty bang on? I could just like copy paste almost, and we're good.
Um, it took a long time. It wasn't an easy process. I had to go back and forth with ChatGPT like many, many times in order to get a solution. And even with ChatGPT, I still have ended up outsourcing some of the development, most of the development. So it's still difficult. Like it's not it wasn't perfect, but I learned a lot more about the platform that I would have without AI for sure.
And it's fascinating because we're sitting here, we're talking about this, which I believe 3 years ago was impossible. Someone that is not a developer, has never touched the code in their life, to get to an MVP, regardless how long it took, it just that wasn't. I shouldn't say regardless. It would take you a lot of time. It would take you starting from basics to understand some of these languages that are for programming, where you went from never touching a code to an MVP, all with the help of a no-code platform and with assistance of ChatGPT throughout the whole process, which is fascinating. It's not a small thing that you can do. How long was that process for you?
Yeah, so just to be clear, I don't feel comfortable saying I went from no code to an MVP. I would say I was able to take it to about a half MVP. So
Okay.
I just want to be clear there. The outsourcing that I did definitely brought it to a full MVP. But yeah, I maybe got it about halfway there. Um, but yeah, that process probably took um, to get it to the half MVP. That's my new. I'm gonna coin that term, half MVP. To get it there, it took me, I don't know, like 4 to 6 months.
4 to 6 months is pretty fascinating to get to that place.
It
Um,
is. Yeah, and that's including the time of looking into these platforms, doing my research, trying out a bunch of different platforms as well. That's all baked in there.
Now you're getting to a place where it's like you said, a half MVP. Like this is kind of functioning, but not really for at scale or that many people. You start to hire and you start to look for people that are, a little bit more experienced when it comes to FlutterFlow or any of the other no-code apps.
Yeah.
What did you learn in the hiring process?
Yeah, I learned that sometimes the cheapest option isn't the best option. I think initially when I was looking for people, I was just looking for the cheapest option. And so that didn't end up working well for me. So I think a key takeaway would be sometimes paying a little bit more is worth it for things like that. That would be a key takeaway. And then also just finding somebody who understands your vision really well so that like when you're communicating with them, it's easier. If they're able to understand the big vision and believe in the big vision, then it's definitely easier to make product updates because it's almost like they're right there with you.
Got it. Got it. It's explaining the vision, so it's not just about here's what ChatGPT said and here's a lot of text. It's sitting down, talking through those meetings, explaining the vision, showing them screenshots or examples for the person to say, aha, I get it, and I know I can build this because now we're both in alignment.
100%.
Fantastic, fantastic. All right, now we took it from an idea. You brought it as much as you can on your own into like you said, the half MVP product. Then you got a developer. How does a MVP process look like? What are the tests that you're doing there to say like this is good?
Yeah, so my developer, the developer that I worked with, he did a bunch of tests before like passing it over to me. And then in terms of testing on our end, um, honestly, I have so much faith in my developer that I haven't really done a ton of testing on my end, just because he knows what's going on, he gets the job done, and we just have that level of trust with each other that I know that the product that he's given to me is working as it should. So yeah, not a ton of testing on my end. Like we've added users to the app who have tested it a little bit, but there's enough trust there between me and my developer that like doing tests hasn't been something that I've needed to do.
So you as the founder are not involved in that process. The developer is involved in that process. You're more involved into the branding. You're involved in marketing. You're involved in basically what you like to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like stuff like this, and the stuff that I like to do. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, there was also a lot of hype around these no-code tools, and you
Yeah.
went through, using those things. What do you notice as what is hype and what is the reality of them, or like the shortcomings that you would see in a no-code tool?
Yeah, I think, yeah, so there's a ton of hype right now just about all the no-code tools, and I think it's definitely warranted because they're awesome. And I think it's so cool that you can take an idea and you can create your own app in 10 seconds, basically. I think like for what it means going forward, um, like I think there's still a place for apps that are very robust and a lot more complex than just a simple app like that. Like, so I guess on one hand, I understand the hype and it's exciting and it's awesome, but I think that there's also in the long run, there's going to be a place for these high quality apps, very complex apps that are going to shine in a sea of apps that have been made in 10 minutes, you know?
You start to notice. It feels like it's when you're talking about the high quality and complexity, it feels like that is the differentiating factor where a no-code platform cannot create something with too many rules and complications. It's more straightforward. Yeses, nos. This is a user. Some rules apply to a user. Checkout or subscription buttons. But the moment you start to go into show this based on this, and if this then that, like the if this then that statements become complicated, the no-code platforms start to show their limitations.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to be fair, FlutterFlow is pretty good. Um, FlutterFlow is a good platform. I'm really impressed with what you can accomplish on FlutterFlow. I'm not sure about some of the other platforms as much, but yeah, I mean, on FlutterFlow, you can do if this, then that statements. You can create a pretty powerful app on FlutterFlow with with no coding experience at all. You just need to know the platform well.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Now, you got it to a place where now it's public beta, I would assume, because you're saying you're adding users, you're doing some of your marketing, you're doing some of your branding. What
Yeah.
have you learned when it comes to go-to-market strategies? What is the assistance you're getting from ChatGPT now that is guiding you when it comes to the go-to-market strategies?
Yeah, so I think I've taken a bit of a step back from relying so heavily on ChatGPT, and just trying to focus a little bit more on using my own brain. It still has its place, but in terms of go-to-market strategies, yeah, I think for me, what my strategy has been testing out a bunch of different ICPs, so a bunch of different markets, and seeing where I get the best response. because I think the app that I'm building, I think it can be useful for big companies. I think it can also be useful for small companies, but I think the use case is different. And I think the use case is different even across different industries. So for me, it's been about testing out a bunch of different industries, seeing where the traction is, and then trying to hone in more into one industry. And I think honestly, right now I'm at a point where I probably have enough data to hone in on one industry, and I think that would be the smart move to do. Instead of just trying to target everybody, I think eventually finding one industry is the way to go.
Got it. Got it. So you're stepping away a little bit more from the AI because you start to notice that you are at a higher level skill wise. So you know how to you're starting to detect these things. It helped you to get to a good place, but you feel like now I have the knowledge and understanding that I can use from what I've learned, and I'm on the right path. Plus, you're combining that with testing ICPs all the time to see what is the one that the industry that notices the most return, and they do enjoy having, that relationship with the employees where they can create content and they can share it and so on and so forth. Now, we got to this point. Walk us through a little bit more through the platform. So, how do people use it?
Yeah, so the way it works is there's kind of two sides of it. So there's the admin side of the platform, and then there's the employee side of the platform. So on the admin side of the platform, that's where marketers, founders, owners are able to create content challenges and then share them within their organization. So a content challenge is basically just instructions for a piece of content that they're looking to have created. So let's say we just launched a new flavor of ice cream, okay? And we want to promote this new flavor on social media. I would create a content challenge on the admin side, and I would share that with the people in my organization. And then all the employees within the company, they would have the app on their phone and they'd be able to see the content challenge and they would create content based on that content challenge. And then they get rewarded for creating the content. So that's a really great example of how it would work in a very practical sense. And yeah.
So they would create content based on the challenge. Now, when it comes to the rewards and all those things, is it
Yeah.
also through the app? Do you offer like the gift cards, Amazon gift cards, or payouts, or that you leave that to the company to decide how they want to reward?
Yeah, so as of right now, it's just up to the company to decide how they want to reward. But if a company wanted us to handle that, we would handle that, no problem. And it's honestly something we should add. Um, yeah, something we could add today.
It feels like a natural kind of addition to the whole process because it ties in with the whole end user experience. When you've shown this to some of the companies that you're doing the tests right now, what are some of
Yeah.
the stuff that they really liked that you didn't even think of?
Yeah, so honestly, Zivko, one of the problems I'm having right now is just getting companies to test the app. So maybe I would use this platform as a bit of a call out. If there are any companies that are interested in using the app and giving it a try, definitely reach out to me. I have tested it with one company, and this was before I was at a true MVP stage. And I ran some of the numbers. We did about 17% of the employees downloaded the app, which was awesome. And we got 5 pieces of content submitted on the app. So definitely would want those numbers to go up in our next trial run. I am in talks with companies about using this and testing it out, but it's proving to be a bit of a long sales cycle. I think just because of the newness of employee generated content, I think
Yeah.
getting over that hump is, yeah, it's taking a little bit of time. So, yeah.
And when you were, it's interesting to hear those things because I hope that people do try it and download it and give it a shot because it sounds like a good way of bringing the employment community, not just to share whatever they kind of do already, but give it more of a structure and a reward for doing what they love to do.
For
Um,
sure.
when it comes to being the founder and doing the marketing and doing the sales, what have you found to be very different from what you imagined it would be?
Um, hmm, it's a good question. Um, I think I've been fascinated with how long the sales cycle is. I think like I thought initially that I would get more yeses and nos right off the bat, but that's not really how it's turned out to be. It's more so just been like people think it's a good idea and they see the value in it, but it's actually getting to the point where they're willing to use the app that has been the struggle. So it's kind of just for me, I've been surprised about that challenge. People say, "Oh yeah, that's a great idea. I can see how that would be helpful." But then when it comes to converting and actually using the app, that's more of a struggle.
Have you learned something in your sales process that you started to change because you noticed the struggle and how long it takes? Have you changed something in your sales process?
I think I'm always looking to change things. There's always room for improvement. So I think it's about testing different sales material, testing different sales methods, and again, seeing what works the best and what doesn't work. So yeah, like I've done different things. Like I've done in-person sales where I'll go out and I'll talk to companies in person. I've done a lot of LinkedIn outreach as well. That's been another avenue that's been good for me. Um, and then I would say also just using like leads that I already have an existing relationship with has also been helpful. Um, so yeah, just trying those different things. And then kind of more on the marketing end, like trying to be a founder brand and do more founder-led marketing on LinkedIn has been something I've been doing. And I think what's important there is trying to build up the trust with my audience. So that's what I try to do with my LinkedIn content.
It sounds like your focus is on LinkedIn because you're seeing a lot of good stuff coming from your outreach and some of the topic matter expert or authority posts that you're doing to build trust with your audience. How
Mhm.
much do you feel like LinkedIn or social media selling plays a part nowadays in pushing a product out to a wider audience?
Oh, I think it's huge. I think, yeah, if you're able to build an audience, I think that's huge for your brand. I think it's one of the most important things in 2025 for selling.
Would where would you put email marketing in this context? Because there's different opinions when it comes to that. Some people will say push content creation, create good content, build trust there. Some people will say build your email list, build it, and then that is kind of what you own, and that will help you to reach out wider audience.
Yeah. So I've done a little bit of email marketing, not
Mhm.
much. I have a newsletter with a couple of subscribers on it. I mean, I think having a newsletter is great because I think you have that list of people that you're able to reach out to. But I think it's a combination of both. I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's definitely a combination of both.
Combination of both. Got it. You have your SaaS platform is here. It's live. You're testing with some people. You're doing your marketing and you're doing your outreach.
Yeah.
Where do you see it go? What is the future that you envision for the company and for the app?
Yeah, so for right now, it's really just about getting a couple of success stories. That's what I'm really passionate about right now. So, yeah, just looking to put together a little catalog of case studies, success stories. And then I think from there, it's just about sharing these success stories with more companies and showing them what we can do for them. And then just growing from there. So I think like right now it's pretty small company. It's just me. But I think there's a ton of potential with it, and I would love to continue to grow it and see where it can go because I think there's potential, as I mentioned, with a ton of different ICPs. I think for me, it's about finding which ICP has the most potential right now and then exploring that ICP more. But I think down the road, it would be cool if we were used by small businesses and big businesses and different industries as well. Because I really do think any business that has a team of employees can benefit from the app. So that's kind of what I think. I think there's tons of opportunity, which is really exciting. But yeah, just need to get there, slowly building the bricks. So.
Amazing to hear. And you're absolutely right. It is building those bricks. It is putting the things together. But in 2025, when we're talking about these things, there is already the idea that a solopreneur can be a $1 million company with AI, with no code or low code, with all these LLM models that we have right now. It is possible because you start to notice those unicorn situations where they do cross a million, and it being like a one-man show. In instance, what a couple years ago was like impossible, or it was even like a downplay, like there's no way they don't have a team. Where now it is possible, it is very achievable, and people are doing it. So I'm happy to see that you have your structure and your plan, and you're saying that I want to build the trust. That's the first thing. The case studies and the success stories, build those so that more and more businesses can use us, because it is a small team, and that's the beauty of the small team. It is very lean, so it does help you to scale and grow. Devin, if people want to get a hold of you and they want to try the app, how do they do that?
Yeah, so the best would be just through LinkedIn, just shooting me a message. We can chat and then go from there.
Fantastic. Then appreciate the time. Thank you for walking us through, like, again, starting from ChatGPT to building a product to half MVP, then figuring out the rest as a entrepreneur goes through his journey. So thank you for sharing all those details. I learned a lot of stuff that you can take just an idea and then you can take it to a half MVP, like you're saying, within a couple of months, which was, you don't need to have any knowledge of coding. So I appreciate walking us through all of that, and I wish you all the success.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on the podcast. Appreciate it.